Accelerationism, Left and Right Spectrum by Colleen Glynn. What is accelerationism? Accelerationism is a nihilistic, radical right-wing belief that capitalism is unsustainable and will eventually lead to a dystopian society. In this ideology, a thriving future in a capitalist society does not exist. So by accepting the inevitable destruction and inability to do anything about it or stop it, they essentially just let capitalism run its course and see what happens. Capitalism has become too rooted in modern society to fix, so accelerationists believe that capitalism should instead be hastened in order to bring about a change and rebuild societal standards from the ground up. So whatever outcome post-capitalism is basically their opportunity to promote a new system with reinvented philosophies and social standards. The solution to post-capitalist society is, however, debated. Accelerationists tend to lean left or right with their ideal outcomes. Accelerationism holds a spectrum of views and philosophies, especially in cyberpunk and science fiction, but can also be seen in a post-humanistic or transhumanistic perspective. So these terms I found are often confused. However, there are a lot of major differences, so I thought I should explain more on this. Posthumanism versus transhumanism. Transhumanism has an optimistic outlook on technological advancement and the evolution of humanity. New technologies will be able to augment our bodies and minds in order to increase our lifespans and liberate humanity from the restrictions of the natural body. Transhumanists share many ideologies with humanists, such as seeing humanity as a unique and special being, as opposed to other life forms due to our complex consciousness and intellectual abilities. Posthumanists, on the other hand, hold a more pessimistic outlook on technological advancement. In a future dominated by technology, posthumanists believe that there will no longer be a need for rationality or intelligence, as technology will evidently replace all of these unique features. So transhumanists tend to share more ideologies with humanists, where posthumanists tend to reject the humanist self-glorifying viewpoints. Origins of accelerationism. The concept of accelerationism has been inspired by many philosophers. Karl Marx and Paul Virilio both developed philosophies that were largely drawn from in creating the accelerationist ideology. Karl Marx's outlook on capitalism, also known as Marxism, had a major impact on the development of the accelerationist views. So Karl Marx had a more leftist view of accelerationism, though at that point the concept wasn't exactly around yet. He would often suggest that capitalism was unstable, and it would explain that its structure was really just built upon contradictions and would eventually collapse. Paul Virilio was an early inspiration for accelerationist ideologies as well, especially with his idea of dromology. So Paul Virilio was a French philosopher and theorist whose early philosophies often hinted at an accelerationist outlook. Dromology essentially discusses the evolutions brought about by speed and change in regards to war and media. The first real definition of the term was used by Benjamin Noy in 2010. Accelerationists replied to Marx's contention that the real barrier of capitalist production is capitalism itself, by arguing that we must crash through this barrier by turning capitalism against itself. More origins of accelerationism. The CCRU, also known as the Cybernetic Cultural Research Unit. The CCRU was originally a group run in Warwick University's philosophy department as a place to discuss cult topics like futurism, technoscience, rage culture, science fiction, philosophy, and other topics of similar genre. Nick Land and postgrad Mark Fisher both worked at the CCRU together. This was the group in which Nick Land really delved into the accelerationist theory and developed it into a more popularized philosophy that it is today. The CCRU originally didn't intend for the group to have become what it did. Nick Land was the one who really gained control of it and changed it to study more radical views. The CCRU basically existed up in 2003, but was highly mystified and little knew about what exactly happened inside of it. Right accelerationism. Goals for reconstruction of post-capitalist society. So in post-capitalist society, they believe there should be a reversion to a hierarchical society structure. Basically, right accelerationists, post-capitalism would like to see a more traditionalist and separatist social structure. They often believe that certain races and genders are better than others and better suited for leadership roles. Neo-cameralism. Neo-cameralism is a system inspired by Prussian cameralism, basically where a state is run like a corporation or business. It's often referred to as joint stock feudalism and essentially is a hierarchical system where sovereigns gain totalitarian powers. Mentioned Smolbug was the first one to propose this theory in relation to the NRX. Nick Land is one of the main heads of the right accelerationist thinking, believes fascism is an inevitable outcome, and he believes that it's the most efficient way to rebuild society. Technological advancements and outlook. So right accelerationists tend to have a more post-humanist, pessimistic outlook. Feudalistic society where humanity is enslaved by an AI singularity. So basically, technological advancements will like numb the human senses of will and self-thinking and basically halt evolution, or it could ultimately replace us with the AI singularity, which also kind of reminded me of Roko's Basilisk in a way, but could be a little different. Technological advancements will lead to dystopia. Birth of the Dark Enlightenment. Nick Land's theories on acceleration are what fueled the neo-reactionary movement, also known as Dark Enlightenment. It's an anti-democratic movement with radical views advocating extreme traditionalism, white supremacy, anti-Semitism, and neo-Nazism, as well as neo-monarchy and other separatist hierarchical systems. They believe freedom and democracy are not compatible. Left accelerationism, goals for reconstruction of post-capitalist society. Left accelerationists believe that there are salvageable ideas from post-society that should be held onto. Certain emancipatory policies and ideals from democracy should not be completely discarded. They tend to lead towards a socialist or communist-like solutions. Accelerate the advancements in technology to free the worker from capitalist chains, and heavily based off of Marxism. So left accelerationists believe capitalism cannot last, obviously, in rebuilding. However, some systems should be recycled and maybe dissected or reimagined. They also tend to not be as anti-egalitarian and anti-progressive. They still believe in some points of democracy as well and everything. And when it comes to capitalist chains, they mean like working for the sake of work is basically capitalist way of enslaving people. Technological advancements and outlooks. So left accelerationists tend to be more transhumanist. They have an optimistic outlook on technological advancements to better improve the lives of humans. And advanced technology will ultimately lead to utopia. Left accelerationists often see and appreciate the benefits of advancements in technology and like kind of wish to manipulate or take advantage of its growing path. For example, they really like social media as it can be used as a way to spread their message and create communities. Um, they often believe in human augmentation for the betterment of humanity, like brain scans or extending human life, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, Right accelerationists are skeptical of the left accelerationist ideology because it essentially is unrealistic and will likely lead back to socialism, therefore being a quote unquote dead end. Conclusion and personal thoughts. So I've always been a fan of dystopian, cyberpunk, and science fiction themes, and can understand a lot of the motivations behind the accelerationist movement. Like, I'm not a huge fan of capitalism and, the work just for work's sake thought process. But I don't really agree with a lot of the outcomes post capitalism. Like, I still believe in a more egalitarian democracy. Um, and I'm not a huge fan of like traditionalism and like white patriarchy. Um, though, like I said in the text, I don't really consider myself super left either when it comes to like feminism and other movements. I feel like it was needed in the past, not as much now, but that's a whole nother topic, I guess. When it comes to technological advancements, I probably have a more transhumanist view, although I don't know if it'll actually come to be or not. Um, but I am a huge gamer. I feel like virtual reality and video games and life inside of a virtual simulation would feel like a lot better than the life we live now. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I kind of sometimes dream about living in a simulation or in a video game. I feel like I kind of want to see that in my lifetime, but I'm not doing anything major to bring that about or anything. Lastly, these two forms of entertainment I thought had a lot to do with the accelerationists, especially with the singularity and a superintelligence. So if you want to check them out, totally should. They're really awesome, and I have played and watched both of them multiple times. So thank you for watching my video and have a good holiday.